Call to order the regular meeting of the Tonganoxie USD 464 Board of Education for Monday, August 12th, 2024. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I know of no additions or corrections to the agenda, so is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Item number 1 point, was Jill?
Yeah, she's still on the phone.
Oh, I guess I should have amended the agenda. All right, we're gonna go to item 1.5, projects update from Mr. Loomis. I guess I should have amended the agenda. Sorry.
Should always amend it so I can go first.
Keep that in mind.
All right, I've got a laundry list of stuff here, just a bunch of small stuff to cover here. I know we've got a special board meeting on the 26th to kind of tackle the bigger stuff, so this is just a lot of small projects that I know Lauren has mentioned to you guys. So it's probably easiest at any point, if you got a question, just stop me, because I'm just going to rattle off quite a few things we got going on. So if it's something specific you want to know about that current whatever we're talking about, just stop me and I'll try to check here. So first couple we mentioned are projects down at Beatty Field. The big one is repairing that asphalt for the dumpster pad. That work is scheduled to be done Thursday of this week, and what they're going to do is tear out the asphalt that's broken, put a 20 by 40 8-inch concrete pad there. So this is a pretty permanent fix to that issue. Probably should have been done from the jump, but it'll be a relatively double reinforced pad to hold that the dumpster. Like I said, we bid that out to a couple different places and just went with the lowest one we got on that. So that'll be done this week. It'll take about a week to cure, but it'll be we'll be in good shape for that with the start of fall activities down there. The windows on the press box at Beatty Field, I don't know if you guys have seen those. They're pretty fogged over on the two outside. So we got a couple bids, one to replace the glass and the current framing, and then another bid to just completely replace the windows, which ended up being cheaper. So we went ahead and selected that as well. So they're about 2 to 3 weeks out on getting those windows ordered and in, but we'll replace all those. And like I said, the windows on the north and the south rooms of that press box are really fogged over, and you really can't see out of them. So that's getting taken care of. The other project down there that we're not moving forward with at this time, but it's probably something to keep on our radar, is the drainage. Anytime we get a rain like we did last night, there's water standing under the home bleachers. I've met with Crookham's on kind of come up with a plan to cut out the old drain system, add a new pipe that'll actually run and tie into our current drain system. So hopefully that water that's standing there in front of the home stadium won't be there on days it rains. We're not doing anything with that right now. Lauren and I kind of talked about trying to find a good time to make that happen. That's something that I'd really like to get done. I think that's just it's rough when you got to tread through water to walk up the stadium if you go in the front there. You know, on a night we get a lot of rain, whether it's soccer, football, or anything else. So not moving on that project as of right now, but that was in that $15,000 range of the initial bid we got, and I think Lauren and I will kind of work farther on that. So fence is completed, the fence damage at the high school. Those guys came out and repaired that patch the end of last week, Friday of last week, so that is done. We did not make an insurance claim on that, as the amount of work that we had done on that wind damage didn't barely put us at our deductible, if it did at all. So that fence is done. I think it is worth mentioning that we are going to we'll drill down to that asphalt and install some big eye bolts next year. The track high jump pads go up for the entire part of the year. They're in the shed right now, but when we come out in the spring, we'll put some big eye bolts in the asphalt there. I've talked to Preston about where we can put those, and then lay some ratchet straps over the top of those pads, so we don't end up with the high jump mount in the fence again. So I've never seen it happen before, but it happened twice, so that's good enough for me to come up with a solution to fix it. So That project's done, and then the rooftop tear off was completed by Rimco a couple weeks ago. Went really, really well. Nothing too crazy there. The only damage that we had on our RTUs was the curtain between the actual unit and the curbing on the roof. So we actually had a leak in the gym a couple rains ago, and got up there and kind of found some of the skirting that goes on those units had ripped off, and we got that fixed and replaced, and did not have a gym leak this morning after the rain we got last night. So that piece of the project's done. I have not heard or engaged anybody on replacing those. I think we're all at a good spot, us and the city, to say we can just be done with that and leave the RTUs where they are. So that takes care of that insurance stuff. We have not come up with a solution down here yet on this gym floor. That is still in the court of our insurance company. I've talked to the adjuster. Our restoration company has tried to reach out to the adjuster. The adjuster told me it's taken way too long, but he said it's in their claims department's hands right now, and they were not sure how they were going to move forward with that. So I wish I had a better update on that for everybody involved, but that it's in the insurance court right now. And I will certainly let Lauren know the minute we hear something as to what we're going to do regarding replacing just a piece of the gym floor, if we're going to be able to replace the entire gym floor over here on the West Campus. That's halfway. We good? Questions, comments, concerns? All right.
Did we figure out anything about why that backed up?
Nothing other than
A lot of rain.
a lot of rain. So, couple other little projects we got coming here towards the end of this month. We are gonna the entrance to the TES playground. So there's a fence that runs the frontage of that building, and then there's a giant gate there, and then you go into the playground. Well, to the left and right of that gate, there is no fence. Not sure why that's there, but Mrs. Blazo and a lot of the teachers have expressed interest. So at the end of this month, we're having that fence finished out to where that gate is now going to be connected to the fence on both sides. So more or less a kid can't run out into the parking lot from the playground anymore. So relatively small project, but just kind of a heads up that's coming. We'll have a man gate on one side of that where you're able to go in and out there. They're going to repair that double gate. And so basically we'll just be able to lock that area down from the front, lock it down basically from the inside, where we'll get that gate locked and people won't be able to come in and out of that. So that's happening, scheduled to happen August 29th and 30th to complete that work.
Might want to mention the lights are completed.
Yeah, Capital did complete the lighting out there, so we've got actually really nice set of lights. I think the cameras we're able to at least see what's going on a little bit, but if nothing else, a little more playground time. I think the lights did a really good job. They provide quite a bit, so they've completed that. Couple other small ones coming your way. The garage door openers of the CTE shops at the high school. So auto shop, metal shop, wood shop, there's 3 garage doors there. They're been a little finicky here as of late, on and off. They don't make the parts for those units anymore, originally installed in the 2005 build. So with a grand total of around $15,000, we're gonna have all 3 of those replaced. They're out of, they can't be fixed, and they're out of code now for what's standard here in 2024 versus what was there in 2005. And like the auto shop one right now just doesn't work, so you have to hand crank it with the chain, and nobody wants to do that. So those are getting replaced here probably in the next month or so. HVAC update while I'm up here. So obviously the high school's in pretty good shape. It's all being new. That warranty's still happening. We met with P1 on the middle school, so part of that long-term plan we've been talking about is obviously doing quite a bit of work to replace the middle school HVAC. So I had a pretty extensive meeting with a couple of techs from P1 as we kind of dove into what needed to happen repair-wise at the middle school. And basically understanding that we were probably within 1 to 2 years of completely ripping those things off. So we kind of highlighted what actually needed to be done to get us through the school year, and then some of the stuff that maybe we don't need to have repaired, we can just kind of limp to the finish line. For example, a bigger unit's got 4 compressors in it. They only racks run on 3 at a time anyway, but they have 4, and they talk to each other. So, there's a couple places maybe we didn't replace a compressor and things like that. But we tried to drill down on what was going to get us through this year, and they've got that work completed, and 95% of that's up and running right now at the middle school, just with their rooftop units. And then we'll take a dive into what that replacement looks like. And then the elementary school is just a revolving door of the same issues we've been having. I think we've done a much better job. Train has done pretty good on keeping up and kind of doing the same thing, being able to find Band-Aids when things go down. Like I said, those TES units, we know this, are same type of deal. The biggest issue with those right now is they just fell out of parts warranty. Train was able to extend our warranty to 10 years on parts. That warranty expired early spring, so any parts we're putting in at the elementary now are coming at our cost. Same type of deal as the garage door opener. It's not a super well supported system as far as finding parts, so again, we'll take a deeper dive into that on the 26th on what that replacement looks like. But I think we found a good working median using the VRF systems and the DOAS units that are on top, and learning how to control those and program those, so we at least are able to offset maybe an issue with the VRF with the DOAS unit, and we just, that's going to be a continual work in progress until we come up with a better solution, aka replacing them. But for right now, as we've monitored pretty good. Over the summer, we were able to handle most of the really hot spells in the summer over there. Now, that obviously doesn't include 25 little bodies in there, but it's something that I think we've definitely got a grasp on. I don't think we're in any position like we were a couple of years ago. We've just done a ton of troubleshooting and a ton of kind of trial and error to figure out what makes that work and what we can offer to stay comfortable over there. So, questions on that? All right, moving right along. The last one, I think you got an action item tonight. The rooftop project at the high school. We had a bid opening a couple weeks ago and selected a contractor. We had 6 bids, I think, come across on that project that span a pretty large array of costs. But I think we've made the recommendation for Delta Roofing Services, who's done some work in the district in the past to complete that roof project starting after Labor Day to be completed before Thanksgiving. So that's coming your way tonight. But I think the initial number I gave you at the board meeting, we spoke about this, was $820. I think our action item was not to exceed that, and I think the bid came in right at $799. So go ahead.
What's the add option of surface coating? Is that something that we're going to do or no?
So they said it's an add option, but they never do it. Is what Garland, the company, told me. He said it's there because I think some people ask for it, but he says it's not. It doesn't. We have a 30-year warranty on this roof either way, so I don't see the need for it at all, as they're going to support it. It doesn't increase the warranty, decrease the warranty. It doesn't do anything moving the needle on that. So.
So $799, and we previously said $820. Not
Yeah, so I think we're in pretty good shape on making that happen. So there's no, I'm going to throw a curveball at you here, but there's on the actual roofing project, on the install, the overlay of the roof, $799 is going to take it turnkey on Garland doing that job. I think 2 months ago I mentioned the tilt-up panels, so the vertical panels outside the T-pack, and the tallest part of the middle of our building. We had talked about an option, and they took it off of the bid because it kind of took a turn on us to recaulk those joints between those tilt-up panels. There was a concern from a contractor that we actually had some structural damage up there as to not do that project. So we had a structural engineer come out last week, and he reviewed the site. He kind of squashed that, so he thinks we're good as far as structurally goes. So we went back to quoting recaulking those precast panels, and it's to do the project's about $66,000 is the bid, and I just got it like 30 minutes before I came in here. So again, something I think we can probably dive into a little bit more on the 26th. But it would be, and I'll get some pictures and things so you guys can see in that presentation, but we're talking about the space between those concrete panels. It's about this wide on most of them, and that's removing the current caulking that's in there and replacing that it's just a good practice. I think it's cracked, and providing some sealant on that area. And so that would be a add alternate to the roof project, I guess. So that can be managed under the same umbrella by the roofing contractor, but it would be an add alternate as far as cost goes to that $799 number, if that makes sense. So it's not a new project. It's a project that would be in that scope of work that Garland would take on, but that obviously is not carried in that $799 number. So like I said, I can get some pictures and things. If it doesn't make sense to you, I don't think we want to have a board retreat where we all climb up on the TPAC and look at it, but we certainly can. But it's something that needs done on those tilt-up panels. They're in pretty rough shape, and there's a couple that are pretty thick. But as far as structurally speaking, our structural engineer came out and said we're in pretty good shape there. So,
Remind me, is our paper on this with Garland and they sub to Delta, or do we have two contracts?
through Garland, they sub to Delta.
Okay. So we have one contract with the manufacturer that's going to sub to Delta.
Yep. Garland is turnkey on the project for us, from engineering, scope, spec, architectural work through Delta to finish the project.
And this will make all of our roofs, the high school, new.
The oldest one we would have, it would be what's on this building and what's on the old gym. So Tanya maybe would remember, I think probably 2013, 2014 we redid.
It was right before I got here.
Yeah.
It's 15 or
It's probably
16.
in there somewhere.
Is it maybe in there?
I
So
can
somewhere we had this roof redone, and then we had the old gym redone.
So for 800,000, remind me
Yeah.
what we're getting redone.
Everything else. So TPAC, east to west, basically.
Okay.
Which would cover the
So,
locker room area.
to answer your question, I mean, in theory, yes, everything east of high school, west of the high school is brand new roof, with the exception of the gym that's 8 or 9 years old, I guess now would probably be my best guess. So, and they did actually, so McCown Gordon on the roof, when they attached what they were doing to that, Midwest Coating put that roof on, and McCown Gordon had them come out and tie that roof together, so our warranty is still good on the current gym. So we're at a 30-year warranty there, and then we'll be at a 30-year on this new upgrade. Just for not for nothing, this is an overlay of the current roof, and this is the same thing we'll talk about at the middle school.
So this is not a tear off.
This is not a tear off. They will give you national standard, they'll give you 2 layers on a roof before you have to tear off. So this will outlive the majority of us, and then the next time this comes back for
It's
project.
just tough to understand. As much action as we had around here and people on roofs, that this wasn't caught. We're past that, and I
Yeah.
understand that.
Yeah,
And it's good news we got some money to
yeah.
pay for this. So
This is the biggest issue we've had with the current roof on the high school, is just leaks. There's a lot of bubbling on that mod bit roof. It's big asphalt rolled out paper basically.
Right.
And it's just really odd. There's a ton of bubbling. A lot of the corners. We have a really bad leak that goes in the band room right now. I mean, we've subsided that pretty good with some patchwork and moving our HVAC drains away from it a little bit. But it's time, and it'll be the same conversation about the middle school roof here in a couple weeks. So.
And what's the logistics on, you felt like last time that it didn't have to be a summer deal, so
Yep.
when are you thinking?
So what the back will look like, we'll have a laydown area for Delta to work out of, and I've talked to Cody a little bit, and we'll just rope off an area that kind of is their space to work in and out of. I've talked to Delta just barely about the space over the band room is really the only student populated area we have there, and they've been great about, we can work around it, and obviously if there's like I said, it's an overlay, so that alleviates us from saying, okay, hey, we're going to rip something off and then leave it overnight, or have that issue. So it's just completely overlaid. So we really are just, if noise becomes an issue, it's a big enough project, they can go somewhere else, sort of thing.
And you want to give a quick update on the move, TES?
Yeah. We finalized the move. I think we had like 3 damaged pieces of furniture that we were able to fix with some screws and nails. We were able to send a lot of our custodians from the other buildings towards the end of the summer over just to kind of piecemeal a few things that maybe ended up in the wrong place, but it ended up going really, really well. That's pretty much what I wanted to close with is, the month of June was pretty hectic. We obviously did that move. We, our guys painted a bunch, or our paint crew painted a bunch. We moved a bunch of outlets while this was all going on. The process of it went really well. I don't know. I think we got our bang for our buck big time. I think the other bid we had to move was about 4 times what we paid for it. So I think having that in the back of my head, I'm very pleased with what we got for what we had done, and obviously.
Well, and then Forrest and their crew, they installed around 88 interactive TVs. They look great.
Yeah,
in
they
all the
came in behind.
classrooms.
Yeah, so they got back to Meet the Teacher night going on right now, and it's chaos over there. But I think, we didn't end up with, there was no major uh-ohs or no major snafus on the move. Like I said, I think for what we paid, I think we absolutely got our bang for our buck there. So very pleased with that
looks good.
process. Yeah.
Questions? You guys been busy. Thank you.
Yes.
Been a lot. Busy, not slowing down. So thank you, guys.
All right, backing up to item 1.4, Jill.
Good evening, and I apologize for my tardiness. Thank you for coming back to me. So I supplied you all with a bid for a wheelchair bus based on our previous conversation last month with the high miles of our special needs buses. This is a little bit larger bus than any of the special needs bus that we currently have. This one will house 3 wheelchairs plus 27 students, which would help in many ways. Some of those are currently we pick up students who in wheelchairs and we drop them off at the high school and then go out for middle school and elementary students because we can't have more than 2 wheelchairs in the bus at a time. So with the time schedule, we can do that, and they live in town. This bus would also help. Last year we started unified sports for special needs, and we had to take 2 buses because again we had 3 wheelchairs that went to those events, and so this would not only just house the wheelchairs, it would house the other athletes as well. And as well as field trips. Now when a student in a wheelchair they go on a field trip, they pretty much ride the bus with their para. This would allow an entire class to ride the bus with them. So this particular bus is on the lot over at Midwest Bus. So the turnaround time would be relatively quickly. They would need to install the cameras and of course the lettering, but we're looking at like 30 to 60 days. It may say versus something that we are ordering. I actually saw the bus. It does say 60 to 90 days. So
The other
questions
advantage,
for me?
and we checked into this, is this bus qualifies for special ed depreciation.
Yes.
So make sure, so that means that 80% of after 8 years, up to 80% depreciation value. And that happens for sped buses. That's done with state aid for this. So haven't bought very many exclusive sped buses, but this would be one that would only be used for that category. And it does address the fact that one of the buses that Chris pointed out last month was our most high mile bus. It was over 170 or 80,000 miles.
Yes,
And
I don't
so-
have that number. in
And
front
you
of
weren't
me.
planning on trading that bus. It would stay. The high mileage bus would then become a spare. or even
Correct.
to use?
Because we've had some changes with some of our students, and so we are using all 3 of our special ed wheelchair accessible buses for routes right now. So at the current time, we're going to be in a little bit of a pickle if something goes down, because we don't have a spare. So this would also help with that issue.
So the other special ed buses are 14 and 12 capacity. They're a little smaller. So this would
Yes.
be
This is more like
unique.
It's more like a 65 passenger bus size. It's quite a bit longer than the little buses that we have now. They're not as long, obviously, as the
And to be
77.
clear, when they say it's a 24, that's 3 to a seat.
Yeah.
Not,
Yes, correct.
so, for little
Sure.
kids, it works pretty good, but
Bigger kids.
Yeah,
2
no.
to a seat.
Does this help with your drivers? I mean, we have a need for the bus, but then you also have driver challenges too. Yeah, I mean, if you can get 3 in one bus, it'd be.
Yes. Wheelchairs. It would help.
I think it gives her great flexibility, yeah, and so, and this is a brand new bus.
Yes, it is
Yeah,
brand
it's not
new.
a lease bus or. And
We
so,
just pay for this from capital? Or?
yes, this would be capital, but then, once again, Audra immediately starts entering this bus as part of our inventory, and it starts receiving, depreciation. So there'll be some payback. It doesn't pay for
Well,
the.
different. I mean, it's not a deduction on our end. We're getting money from the state. To
Yes.
say
Their
yes.
state aid's
Say yes.
calculated based on depreciation.
Right, there you go. That's exactly right, over 8 years. Okay?
So, not only are we talking about this bus, we are receiving another bus that we approved last year. Is that
There's a
right,
bus-
or we're waiting on one?
There's a bus that should be here in November, December.
Yes.
Yeah.
That we
from
approved last year.
8, no, it was longer than that. It's 2 years ago.
Okay.
Over almost 18 months.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. And then the other bus, I mean, I put out some information for you, the 77 passenger bus that we are trying to have approved tonight. And I hope you saw the explanation of why the bus is higher priced. Do you have any questions
yes,
about
yes.
that? Because what we're looking at is a guaranteed price as opposed to what's going on in Wichita is, and that's Kansas Truck, is that right? They don't give you the guaranteed price. What they're saying is when the bus is delivered after 18 months, there could be adjustments in the price based on steel, electronics, no delivery, no installation of radio, and what was the other one? Lettering.
So if you could get
Lettering.
everything, you would have 3.
That's a Bluebird. Have no problem with that bus. It's just 2 different tactics by 2 different companies on how they get the state bid. But I think to be upfront about it, Kansas Truck could come in here and say, well, because we're delivering this, there's an additional $14,000 being applied, and it's your choice if you want it or not, because we have somebody else that'll buy it if you don't. That's the difference.
And Midwest Bus guarantees the price that they bid at the time of delivery. So even if they incur more costs due to increase for them, it's still that price.
Well, to be honest, they're kind of figuring in those
Yeah.
additional costs.
Right,
But
exactly.
it does figure in delivery, the radio install, lettering,
Mm-hmm,
all that. So that's why
And you said there were actually some schools that had experienced that.
Yes, I did. I talked to Goddard, was one of them down by Wichita. I mean, the Wichita area, they pretty much drive Bluebirds, because it's easier to get their warranty
Work done.
right there. And so, yeah, they have to have Kansas Truck come in and kind of explain. If you buy 7 buses, I mean, you're talking $190,000 in change orders.
Yep.
So that's the difference. And
So effectively, you're rolling the dice.
You're rolling the dice.
You could say steel went down and we save some money, or
Right. And so we do have this, the bus, the 77 passenger bus was budgeted. And with the fact that the sped bus with depreciation, we can make that happen out of capital outlay, based on the transfers that we made early summer.
So I'm just gonna ask the
Mhm.
question, if we have a bus on the lot down there with ADA accessibility,
Mhm.
and we say it's helping, does it make sense to get 2 of them? I'm asking the question. Versus a 77 passenger
Why?
plain bus.
I
I'm
don't know
asking.
that, I don't know that we would need 2 that size. If they had another wheelchair bus that was smaller, like the size that we have. We do have 2 relatively newer wheelchair buses, 15 and 17 on your list that I provided you last time. One came off of a lease and the other one was brand new to us. So those 2 wheelchair buses are in good shape. So this 27 plus 3 would help. So we could make that number 3 be our extra spare bus. We could use some more small buses for sure, because as you noted last month, they're pretty high in miles.
Absolutely, and that's why I'm asking the question.
At the time, I don't believe,
Because all of our 77 passenger buses seem like they're reasonable on miles.
Well, the only thing I would say, Chris, and I'm not trying to, is it's going to take 18 months. If we order the 77 now, we won't see it for 18 months from now. And I think there's a probability that even going into next year, if we need another sped bus at any point, that's on the lot.
All I'm saying is, if there's 2 there available
Oh, I
now,
got you.
we can have them now, and it helps a problem that I
Yeah.
perceive
No,
as
I-
a problem with high mileage vehicles.
Yeah, I got you.
I mean,
I don't know.
I'm asking.
when I approached them about it, I asked about a small bus without even the wheelchair accessibility. At the time, they didn't have any, like the 28 passenger. They only had a 14, which would help.
All I'm saying is, if we got one, the 24 plus the 3, I'm asking if there's another one, does it make sense to get 2 of them? If they're readily available to help a problem that I perceive as a problem.
Well,
If they're
the only
available.
issue with the longer ADA bus, as you said, is they more pull into driveways and they're longer, right? So that makes it more difficult. You need more turnaround space, that kind of thing. So given the choice, I would love to get this bus and like another additional smaller bus, which I don't know, for other special needs students who don't necessarily need the wheelchair.
So you're talking like the 14 passenger type.
Well, they call it a 28, but it's more like 14, yes. Because again, like he said, that's 3 to a seat, and but I don't know that they have any of those on the lot, because there was none of those there the day that I went. They didn't have any of those 28 passenger available.
I think to Chris's point, so we've got a capital priority meeting 26th.
26.
So we've got a special meeting on the 26th. It might be good to spend a little more time thinking about that between now and the 26th and see if that's something we want to do.
If they have any 28
Well,
available.
You tell us what you need and see what they have, and if it's, I don't know.
Well, and we can get into it on the 26th. That's really not part of this conversation, but I do know when we met, we had Lauren and Ryan and I met with the city about some matters, and we did talk some about the tax stuff and the dog food plant. We're going to be able to collect out of the capital outlay on that, which will be a good thing for us going forward. So, it's something maybe we have a need, but we also may have improved tax streams from the capital because of that, in a year or so too. So it might be a budget year thing that if you can push it another year, it would be more beneficial to get on that cycle. And I don't know what all other plans there are there, but there's a positive development that can help with that mill levy or
I would
also increase some of the revenue there.
I would also guess with the economy that if they have buses on the lot now, they're liable to have some buses on the lot 6 months from now too. So, but I think we ought to one of the things we ought to talk about on the 26th is to better understand what your view is for 6 months, 2 years, 5 years down the road in terms of needs, because I think that would help our thought process.
As far as this bus, this 27?
Buses in general.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
So what is the view of ordering these 2 buses now and having a further discussion down the road? I think that's kind of where we're at, is we would like to get the 77 ordered
And this one.
and this
I-
one because it's on site, and then addressing any other buses down the road. That's,
Well, this one's, to
Absolutely.
me, this one this special ed, it seems like a no-brainer if we're gonna get the depreciation added to it, and we have such a need, and
She
from
could
a
be-
number of reasons, people, drivers, students, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to not move on that, and I think that the 77 kind of fits into our plan, doesn't it, that we've been
it's
rotating
18.
out the fleet and ordering them on a routine basis. I
Mhm.
mean, Chris has got a better eye of keeping the fleet flush, or newer, fresh. I mean,
Was this 27 plus 3, was that all state bid pricing?
It was, so, I don't know how to word that. Yes, I went on the state bid to see if there, yes, it's on the state bid. I went on there to see if there was any others that were like this, so 27 plus 3. There's nothing else on there. So I was informed that that met our requirement of getting more
I think
bids.
I think as long as it's a state bid pricing. it's-
Right.
Yes, it is
And
on the state
It
bid.
is, and like
Mhm.
you said, she went through the motions of researching if there is any other one to compare to, and there's not.
Yes.
Any other questions, comments? Jill, you've got a hard job with the bus drivers. Good luck with
Thank
school
you.
starting. We're here if we can help.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. All right. I would move that we approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Any patron comments on it? No patron comments. Moving on to reports, Mr. Feldkamp.
Okay, on my report, I have some things that are pretty important that we try to get scheduled down the road. And so for information wise, we're going to complete our budget build on Monday, August 19th. We've already been providing a lot of information to Randy Corns, and they're plugging in all the numbers so that when they get here, that'll help expedite the whole process, the morning of the 19th. And that'll, if it needs to be, it'll take us into the afternoon of the 19th. Then on the 20th, Rebecca and I will take the rough draft of the budget to KSD for their review in the afternoon with Dale Dennis. And then when we get back, if there's any adjustments, we'll make those adjustments. I need to see where all those numbers land. And then we will need to have a special board meeting. We're looking at maybe Wednesday, the 20th, 21st, and that can be a Zoom. We don't have to meet in person, and we would be very flexible on what the best time is to schedule that Zoom. And the sole purpose of that is to publish the budget. That's it. And-
So again, just for clarification, I know that's what you just said, but the only thing we're having that Zoom meeting for is to vote that we would publish it in
Publish.
the newspaper, and that we would have the hearing at the September 9th meeting. So there'd be
Right.
both the R&R hearing and the budget hearing at the outset of that September 9th meeting.
Right. So we need to have the authority, I guess, the approval to publish the budget in Friday so that it gets in the following week's paper in the Tonganoxie Mirror. Sean, is that right? You need it Friday for Wednesday, right? Correct. Okay. So that's that. So we'll be reaching out and trying to set up a meeting sometime at your convenience on that Wednesday. It'll be Zoom. We need a quorum, obviously. So that's where we're at. And then on the 9th, important times to remember, the R&R hearing is at 6 o'clock, followed by the budget hearing on the 9th at 6:10, or following any input from patrons. And then on the next thing would be the start of the regular board meeting, at least 10 minutes following the budget hearing, or 5 to 10 minutes. So we schedule everything at 6:10, and 6:20, but that could change, a little bit. So that's the important September 9th board meeting. Okay?
So the thing to remember for the board on those, I think the R&R for sure, but
Mhm.
maybe both of them. So there will be a roll call vote. So we each have to vote our understanding about the revenue neutral rate and the budget. So it's important that if there's any questions about the budget, let me know, let Lauren know. Want to make sure that everybody's comfortable before that roll call vote.
I think Audra does that, don't you? Yeah, the roll call, yeah. Okay. Then, of course, we've scheduled the capital outlay special board meeting on August 26th, Monday. At 5:30, we'll have, something light here for you guys. And then go into our meeting with the lead principals and some of the coordinators that have been invited. It would be Forrest, Mitch, who else? Those two for sure. Probably maybe Brandy. We'll see. I have to look back at the invitation. We'll be meeting in this room next door here. This is the conference room that's set up more like a U. And so we'll be in there. Okay, back to school. And tomorrow, almost a half day of school or whatever, starts tomorrow. But we had a very good start of the week last week with new teacher orientation on Monday and Tuesday. I think we have a very strong group of new teachers coming in. I'm very pleased with what we were able to bring in. Brought in a husband and wife team from Texas who moved to the area, and special education. I think it's a good crew, and so made a great impression. We've had the back to school breakfast on Wednesday morning, and our own staff made the breakfast. It was really, really good. We had a huge group of people in the high school, and then we all went into TPAC and had the regular, greeting and welcome back, and principal spoke. Linda Vernon was loudly cheered by her former. Everybody else got booed, but Linda got. So anyway, no, it's good. She had a very nice welcome back comment from the representing the board, so I appreciated that. So good job. And so that's how that all went. A lot of good PD that was planned. It was. I thought all the buildings just did a really good job of working with their BLTs, working with their staff, providing meaningful PD. So I was good. Back to school tailgate is on the 23rd, and we're starting to put out a little more information on that. You might be getting that on social media or a school invite. It's become a pretty strong tradition. So we'll be down there around 4:30 getting ready and look for another large crowd. Hope it's nice weather. And so that's really gone smoothly. We have a lot of cooperation from the coaches, the administrators, community. Turnout's been fabulous. Enrollment, it's way too early to even get too much into enrollment. But I will say this, that the elementary school is, at this point, is shown to be up. But then you also have to take away when we actually get kids in school, there's always going to be a few that didn't report that they transferred. And so there's always that adjustment. But technically, just looking at the elementary numbers, we're up. And then the middle school looks fairly flat. And then the high school, it's kind of hard to tell. Probably not a lot of growth. And what I was kind of saying is that non-resident application, I don't think didn't affect us very much. I didn't know if that was something you would be interested in, but I talked to Sherry Reeves over at Baser. I'm not sure if they know. I mean, they're growing like crazy. I think they're going to be over 3,100. I mean, I'm telling you guys, we're still under 2,000, And so that tells you the growth of rooftops in that area, Piper and Baser, and probably even down to DeSoto. This is exploding. So anyway, that's my report. Looking forward to the special board meeting on the 26th. I mean, we'll work to get an agenda put together, but you know, we obviously have certain topics that we need to address with some of our bond contingency and capital outlay planning, but we want to be ready for that and have a good meeting that night. So that's where we're at. So it's budget and special board meetings this month. That's all I have. Or if you have any questions.
Any questions? Ms. Phillips?
All right. The update on the strategic plan, Becky Nazelrode and I met with CISO, which is the company that is working on the design. They will have an early draft to us this week, and so we will look over that and determine if there are any changes that need to be made, and then we should have the full or final draft next week based on any changes that we make to the initial draft. So that should be ready to go and distribute very soon. I sent out a memo to all of you on July 17th. That was a memo regarding the HR systems that we're looking into. I've actually started looking into that several months ago, so this is the culmination of all of that. I'm recommending that we move ahead with purchasing Frontline Central evaluation and recruiting and hiring systems. And the memo described, you know, what our needs were and why that was chosen as the front runner. So if you have any questions about that, I did bring hard copies of the memo. I emailed it to you again on Friday, but you should, if you need a hard copy, they're right here. The other few items I have, HR training that I've been going through, the Professional Human Capital Leader in Education certification. That is taking place over 7 weeks. So every Tuesday I have a class I attend, and then there'll be 40 hours of work on my own outside of that. And once I get all of that done, there is a certification exam, and that should take place in November. And then there are other courses that they have that open up after that go beyond just the human capital piece of it, but this is the initial training that you take. And this is, there's another HR training for business, and this is kind of the education piece of that. So it kind of mirrors, they mirror each other. And a lot of the people who take this training go on to take the business training and vice versa. So this is a very similar level training for that. I've also just returned from the Title IX training and Employment Law Basics seminar that KASB hosts. And there are, I think, 4 more trainings that I've signed up for with KASB that will really, you know, help in what we're doing here in the district. And I put in some information about HR personnel updates. Resolved several personnel issues since July 1st. That's been a lot of things packed into since July 1st, but there have been several issues resolved. We did have our new teacher orientation, and I did include on here the number of new licensed staff members that we have. So elementary had 13, middle school had 4, and high school had 8. Any questions?
Questions?
Okay.
All right, so moving into the action items. Action item 5.1 is the approval of additional warrant list items. I think we've talked about a couple times. Those will be on the action item list now for any of the late breaking ones, just to ensure good transparency there. So I would move that we approve item 5.1, additional warrant list items. Is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried unanimously. Approval of the bus purchases. So there's 2 action item cover sheets there, one for the 77 passenger and one for the 27 plus 3. They're both, one's 138,000 and change, one's 139,000 and change. As we talked about, the 77 passenger is not the cheapest bid, but it is a firm fixed price bid. So any comments, questions, discussion? All right. I would move that we approve the purchase of both the 27+3 and the 77 passenger buses as presented in item 5.2. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried unanimously.
Appreciate it.
Okay, so why don't you hit this
Yeah,
one?
so, yes, Audra has been reaching out to Leslie Garner, who's working on our updated board policy review. And we were informed that we needed to approve the June board policy updates first, so that she can finish up our updated policy. So just so you know, that when we get to the December policies, we'll be all up to date. And she has let us know, and if you see it there, she let us know that there are 4 of the ones that were recommended in the June policy that we should not recommend. And they're the GAAC, GARIA, JGEC, and JGECCA. And that was Leslie Garner's recommendation. But that also went out to all the schools. It wasn't just us. So we went through it. I think Audra looked at it. Tanya and I both looked at it. Leslie Garner, who was working on our policy update, recommended this. And so I am good with approving the June policy updates as presented tonight. And that way Leslie, once she gets that and Audra lets her know, then she will finish up our policy updates. Is there anything
There
else?
was one more, a work comp policy.
A work comp.
It was just a statute update.
Oh, yes.
It's in there.
Yeah, it's in there. Thank you for doing that.
So can we say as presented, or are there amendments?
As presented. Yeah, it's as presented in the document.
Okay.
Good.
I would move that we approve item 5.3, adoption of KSB June 2024 policy updates as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Item 5.4, approval of frontline HR systems. I will probably recuse myself from discussion or voting here. This is not my employer, but it is the business that I'm in. But Tanya, if you have anything to add or any questions.
Just the memo that I sent out on July 17th really had all the information in it. I've been working with Frontline to put things together and get some things ready for transition. There is the one-time setup fee, which it takes a lot to get things set up and transferred over, so that's $17,000. And then the prorated fees for this year would be $22,263.09. And annual recurring fees would be the $22,263.09.
Is there a motion?
I move that we approve the purchase of Frontline for HR purposes.
I second it.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried 6, and I would like to recuse myself. Item number 5.5, approval of purchase of TMS serving line with cashier stand. Lauren, do you want to hit on this
Yeah,
one?
real briefly, Barb was tasked, we asked last year if there was equipment that she needed to purchase, and she did a pretty thorough review, and she actually needs to spend down some of her cash balances. You might remember that discussion we had last year. So this is one of the things that she came up with that she needed, and she's got the bid there for you. It's an expensive item, but it is one that she feels that the food service needs at the middle school. So I support that, and she does have the funds. It's all out of food service. So she's done a great job of keeping that balance in a very healthy position over the years. So there you are.
All right. Any discussion? I would move that we approve item 5.5, approval of purchase of TMS complete serving line with cashier stand. Is there a second?
I second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried unanimously. And finally, item 5.6, the roof for THS TPAC that Mr. Loomis talked about. Previously, we'd approved 820,000 as a not to exceed, kind of giving Mitch the go-ahead to begin working with contractors. We picked the vendor, but to begin working with contractors, it came in slightly under that, 799,000. Any discussion?
So the motion's gonna be to approve the $799?
I believe that's correct, yes.
Okay.
Yes, that is correct.
You want to make a motion?
Go ahead.
Okay, I would move that we approve item 5.6, approval of Delta Innovative Services as a contractor for THS TPAC roof replacement for an amount not to exceed 799,000. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried unanimously. All right, and we do have the need for an executive session, so I would move that we adjourn to executive session for 25 minutes with a 5-minute break before we go in to discuss non-elected personnel matters. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand.
Good.
We will return. There are 2 action items coming out of executive session. So, first one is the approval of the negotiated agreement, classified staff. Hang on, sorry. Negotiated agreement, classified staff, paraprofessionals, and administrators as presented. So I would move that we approve the negotiated agreement, classified staff increases, paraprofessional increases, and administrative increases as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carried. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried unanimously. And then as a second motion, I would move that we increase the activity bus drivers and route bus drivers as presented. I think maybe Ms. Vernon is going to recuse herself from this, but is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign, motion carried. The only announcement that I have is we will need a quick virtual meeting, hopefully Wednesday, the 21st. So I'll get with everybody and figure out a time that we can hopefully get a quorum to publish the budget.
Yeah. Is Zoom okay? I mean, that way you don't have to come in and physically be there. And
I think Zoom's certainly fine with me if it's fine with everybody else.
I mean, we already published the revenue neutral, so worst case, we can't go above what we
Right,
did.
right.
It's gonna be either what was there or a little
Right.
bit better is what we're gonna try to do.
Right. We have some flexibility that we'll be working with, yes. Yeah.
Anything else? Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks.